Time Warner Audiobooks presents Up Country by Nelson DeMille. Read by Scott Brick.
Hello, this is Nelson DeMille. I'd like to speak to you for a few minutes about the book you're about to hear. In 1968, I was an infantry officer with the 1st Cavalry Division in Vietnam. I was commanding a rifle platoon of about 40 men, and we all had two things in common. We were very young and very scared. In February of 1968, we found ourselves in the middle of the Tet Offensive. The magnitude of this countrywide attack wasn't apparent to any of us at first, but by the second day it was obvious that this was Pearl Harbor 10 times over. The first evening, the initial gunfire had been mistaken for fireworks celebrating the Tet holiday, which is the Vietnamese Lunar New Year. But by dawn, the cities of Hue and Quang Tri were in enemy hands, and the landscape was littered with dead soldiers, civilians, and scorched earth. Fast forward to Tet 1997. I had returned to Vietnam and was staying in a 4-star hotel in Hue, the Century Riverside Inn, located on the east bank of the Perfume River. There were lots of new buildings around the hotel erected in joint ventures between capitalist countries and the communist regime in Hanoi. It was a very different landscape from when I'd last seen the city of Hue, and as I sat in the hotel's lounge with two friends, both combat vets like myself, we were all having a problem reconciling the past with the present. Here we were, having mixed drinks and eating bar snacks so close to the spot where hundreds of American Marines had dug in, fought hard, and died. The only thing we could think to do was to drink a toast to them. I carried this problem of reconciling the past and present with me as I began this book. The main character, Paul Brenner, whom we last saw in The General's Daughter, is brought out of retirement by his former boss, Colonel Carl Hellman, of the Army's Criminal Investigation Division, to follow up on a letter that comes to the attention of the Army. This letter describes an unsolved murder that occurred during the war nearly 30 years before. The letter that Paul Brenner is given is taken from my past as well. During a combat mission in May of 1968 in the Exile Valley, I found a personal letter on a North Vietnamese Army officer who had been killed during the fighting. It was from a young woman to her boyfriend. It was a love letter, and it also described the effects of the war as seen from the other side. 25 years later, I sent the letter to the Vietnam Veterans of America as part of their program called the Veterans Initiative to help the Vietnamese account for their missing soldiers. I don't know if the letter ever reached his family. Vietnam has many unresolved stories. In Up Country, however, Paul Brenner does uncover the truth behind the story that is told in this letter, though it leads to more questions than answers. And so it is with Vietnam, where truth and justice are often elusive. In the end, this story is about reconciling the past and the present, not just for me or my characters, but for a generation of Americans. I hope you enjoy Up Country.
Dedication. For those who answered the call. Author's note. Contemporary Vietnam, as represented in this book, is based partly on my experiences of January and February 1997, when I returned to Vietnam after a 29-year absence. Places such as restaurants, hotels, the former United States Embassy, and other locales were in existence and as described as of 1997, which is the time period of this story. Truth exists. Only falsehood has to be invented. Georges Braque. Book 1. Washington, D.C. Chapter 1. Bad things come in threes. The first bad thing was a voicemail from Cynthia Sunhill, my former partner in the Army's Criminal Investigation Division. Cynthia is still with the CID, and she is also my significant other, though we were having some difficulties with that job description. The message said, "Paul, I need to talk to you. Call me tonight no matter how late. I just got called on a case, and I have to leave tomorrow morning. We need to talk." Okay. I looked at the mantel clock and...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?